On Monday, January 2025, a sudden panic wiped out $589 billion from NVIDIA's market value in a single day. DeepSeek R1, a Chinese reasoning model, triggered the sell-off when it matched U.S. capabilities and claimed the top spot in Apple's App Store. Venture capitalist Mark Andreessen described the release as a sudden geopolitical challenge that bypassed Silicon Valley's assumptions about its own dominance. For 2 years, American labs assumed their multi-billion-dollar computing budgets provided a secure lead. That financial defense appeared to vanish overnight. But that admiration quickly turned to scrutiny. White House AI czar David Sachs stated there was substantial evidence that DeepSeek had extracted and repurposed knowledge from OpenAI's proprietary models. But this outcry highlights a glaring contradiction. The American tech giants accusing others of theft built their own foundational models by scraping the open internet, downloading decades of human creation without requesting permission. OpenAI and Microsoft are currently defending a lawsuit from the New York Times over the unlicensed ingestion of millions of articles. Their legal argument is that training AI on other people's work is a highly transformative process protected by fair use laws, and this creates a convenient legal distinction. When Silicon Valley ingests petabytes of unlicensed data to train a model, it is labeled fair use. When a Chinese lab applies a similar logic to an American model, it is labeled theft. The technique at the center of this dispute is knowledge distillation. It has been a standard, openly published machine learning practice since a 2015 paper co-authored by AI pioneer Geoffrey Hinton. Distillation is a compression process. Instead of building an intelligence from scratch, researchers use the outputs of a massive, expensive teacher model to train a smaller, highly efficient student model. The student doesn't just learn the correct answers, it absorbs the teacher's internal logic by studying the full probability distribution of its responses. The student becomes a compact version of the teacher, reaching high performance at a fraction of the original computing cost. While U.S. labs distill their own models to create cheaper products, the current accusation involves black box distillation. This is where the student extracts those rich outputs from a competitor's model across a paywalled interface. This isn't a case of hackers breaching servers to steal code. The alleged crime is a terms of service violation, using a paid API to harvest the exact data the interface was designed to provide. Researchers noted that DeepSeek's V3 model occasionally identified itself as ChatGPT when prompted, while later updates showed reasoning patterns that mirrored Google's Gemini. However, computer scientists argue that because the web is now saturated with AI-generated text, any model training on the modern internet will inevitably absorb the speech patterns of ChatGPT. The economic asymmetry of the project is what disrupted the industry. DeepSeek documented the final training run for its massive V3 model at just under $5.6 million. By comparison, Meta's Llama 3 model required roughly 11 times more computing power, while proprietary models from OpenAI routinely cost tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to train. The replication of frontier intelligence for pennies on the dollar destroys the logic of the multi-billion-dollar computing budgets that previously defined the industry. The 2026 AI Index published by Stanford University shows that the performance gap between American and Chinese frontier models has nearly vanished. In 2023, top American models maintained a lead of roughly 17 to 31 points on major benchmarks. By March 2026, that advantage had shrunk to a mere 2.7% difference. This creates a contradiction in the American business model. To justify $100 billion valuations, U.S. labs must sell access via APIs. Yet every paid query leaks a piece of that model's capability, providing high-quality training data to any competitor willing to harvest it. Washington has responded by tightening export controls, but these restrictions are hitting a moving target. Chinese labs are already co-optimizing their software to run on domestic Huawei Ascend chips, while traded waivers allow tens of thousands of advanced NVIDIA processors to continue crossing the border. In the AI era, creating foundational intelligence requires massive investment, but replicating it is now increasingly accessible. Ultimately, neither a terms of service agreement nor a porous trade embargo has successfully stopped the technological gap from entirely closing.